Okay, this will be great fun. An atheist conference is hosting a rock band that sings about burning down churches and synagogues. Well, when the weather's bad, you know. Occupation, God, hatred. Well, the occupiers were throwing condoms at Catholic schoolgirls in the States. Did you hear about that? Militant atheists, so unhappy, so angry. What is it about these people? Well, I mean, well, we'll find out, because Joe Boot, he's happy and he's jolly and he's fun because he's a Christian apologist and a Christian author, and he's wearing a yellow polo shirt did you hear about this, by the way?
I did, yeah.
But let's show the video, because just to set this up, there's actually a military base where a conference is taking place. They've invited this rock band. The band said they won't actually sing this video, this song, at the conference. But of course, this is what they're most famous for. Let's have a look at this video now, please. There's a bit Spinal Tappy there, but you know what? I mean, you know, I got the rhythm a bit there, Joe. I'm getting down with the kids.
Got a groove.
Now, the first line: "Burn down synagogues." That's not saying it's terrible. That's rejoicing in it. Last time, well, it happens every now and again, but the most infamous incident, of course, is Kristallnacht, 1938, which was a preamble to the Holocaust. Yeah. They sing this, and they're invited to a conference.
Yeah, the whole burning churches and synagogues motif. I was doing some research this week and checking up about what happened in Russia. And it was 1917 when Stalin first completely secularized the schools and said...
That was pre-Stalin. He was...
Lenin, who said no teaching of Christianity in the schools. And then in 1922, he began the persecution of the church, lootings and burnings of churches. That year alone, 5,000 pastors, nuns, monks were executed. Right. And of course...
by the way, Lenin died in 24, so this is still Lenin and Trotsky. Stalin comes in the later 20s.
And then the numbers go up to about 40 million at some estimates now. And so it does. I watched the video, the whole music video through, and I read the articles. And the interesting thing, this guy Justin Griffith, who's organising this event, he says that it's in reaction to a BGA event that happened on the camp a year earlier, which is an evangelical Christian organisation, Billy Graham Association.
Oh, okay. Right.
And said, well, we need to do something in alleged response to this, because he said he was offended and upset that anybody could suggest that other people's religion was wrong, and yet when he was challenged about the content of the video, the profanity, the blasphemy, the sexual swearing in the songs, as well as the provocative imagery, he says, well, that's the First Amendment. So he wants protection from...
So they're hypocrites?
Yes, total hypocrisy. First Amendment's for them, not for Christians.
You're a leading rock critic. Why was the nun wearing a gas mask? What was all that about? I don't quite follow. Stonehenge. If the Jew, no one knows who they were or what they were doing.
If you take some of that imagery, I do take some of that imagery seriously, you know, blood all over, upside down crosses and so on, and burning. I mean, what's next? Swastikas? I mean, this is serious stuff. This is stuff that my grandparents remember. Of what was done to the Jews and what was done to Christians during the 20th century. Let's talk about this,
because this is a bunch of self-abusers, frankly, and very bad music. I mean, I grew up with good British rock music. This is just crap. However, in the broader field of atheism, there was a time, and believe what you want to believe, thank God we have that freedom. You had people like Bertrand Russell, this incredibly sophisticated, intelligent man, arguing with respect, debating with sophistication against Christians. Now, and we've all been to these conferences and debated, not all, but huge numbers, they're so angry, they're so bitter, they're so lacking in joy, and they claim that they have the answers, but they seem so angry with life.
Yeah. There's a new tone to the atheism, for sure. Definitely, previously, some of the leading atheists were more sophisticated in the arguments they tried to advance.
Sure they were.
And it was a kind of respectful, what you might call ag-theism. They would talk about they're unconvinced by the arguments for theism, but then you had Anthony Flew recently, who converted to theism after a lifetime of atheism, kind of saying, well, I was, you know, finally the design argument and teleological arguments won me over. Now you've got people like Sam Harris.
But before you go on, when Flew did this, you know what happened? They accused him of being mentally ill.
That's right.
They said he'd had a breakdown, he was now mentally ill.
Yeah.
Because he changed his mind.
Yeah, because it's perceived as... Well, when you've got people saying now that Christian education of children is a form of child abuse, which was the position of both Hitchens and Dawkins, somebody like Anthony Flew, well, he's senile, he's going mad, whatever, he can't possibly have, you know, thought there's credibility to this. Sam Harris, though, in his book, and this is more disturbing because this is the tone of the new atheism, in his book, The End of Faith, Religion, Terror and the Future of Reason, this is worth hearing. He says, the link between belief and behavior raises the stakes considerably. Some propositions are so dangerous that it may be ethical to kill people for believing them. This may seem an extraordinary claim, but it merely enunciates an ordinary fact about the world in which we live. Sam Harris, one of the leading new atheists in our time, books read by, you know, hundreds of thousands of people, is saying that we can legitimize killing people for their private beliefs. What are the private beliefs they don't like? Christianity, Judaism, you know, Christian theism. And so that's why when you juxtapose atheist speakers and images like that at a concert, it's disturbing, it's worrying.
Many people watching will be surprised by this because there's been a concerted attempt in entertainment, media and journalism to portray Christians as being very, very narrow-minded and ignorant, and the atheists as being somehow liberated and clever. Now, there are some clever atheists. Look, I'm not speaking of people who doubt there's a God. That's a lot of people. Those who are militantly committed to atheism. Some are clever. I have to be honest, I haven't met many. The late Rob Butman, may he rest in peace, I knew him quite well. I honestly never heard him, and he was a doctor, a fine man, I never heard him put up an argument that was beyond the third grade level to defend atheism. That they've declined in intellectual capacity. There were great debates between G.K. Chesterton and George Bernard Shaw. In the 1920s and early 1930s. People would actually try to break down the doors to get in. They were so popular. These men, brilliant men, they ended the conversation as friends. Shaw wept when Chesterton died. They respected each other. One a conservative Catholic, one an aggressive atheist. That surely is almost all gone now.
Yeah, I think it has for the most part. A lot of the debates I've done, and I've debated, you know, some leading philosophy professors in Canada, as you know.
I am the seed one. You wiped the floor with that guy.
He was the Canadian Humanist of the Year. But I
felt sorry for him.
In the end, their arguments really amount to what it seems like they've got it off the back of a cereal box, or what they've just picked up in Dawkins' latest book. And one of the reasons for that is when you move away from a more reasoned, well, look, I am finally unconvinced with the arguments for theism, to a you must be an absolute idiot if you believe in God approach. Well, then, of course, there are no arguments that...
No, of course not.
I mean, fundamentally, atheism, of course, is irrational by definition, because there's no God, there's no design plan, there's no purpose. You're an irrational animal in an irrational universe. So when atheists make irrational statements and do irrational things, I'm not surprised, especially when it becomes vitriolic, because it's irrational by definition.
True. By the way, there's a terrific book coming out, I think it's the end of April, called Heresy, 10 Great Lies They Spread About Christianity, published by McClendon Stewart.
By Michael Coren, is it, by any chance?
You've got that right. Thank you for your time, my friend.
Bless you. Thank you.